Hello and welcome to the theElpyDimension. I'm your guide, Elpy. Welcome to bin number 4. The last time we fed in here was the 23rd of November. Actually, no, I take that back. Today is the 9th of December, 2024. The last time I visited this bin was the 23rd of November. So that was 16 days ago. And I say visited and not fed because I peeked in here, and a lot of times lately I've been coming in here and not having a lot of time to, really dive in, especially when you add content creating to your routine. It really changes things. It makes it interesting because even though I'm not talking to you guys in person, I'm still talking to someone about the worms versus just sitting here having the thoughts by myself. So that's great. But at the same time, you find yourself being like, well, I can't feed the worms unless I'm ready to record. And most of the, I guess I kind of already did that before in that, well, not exactly that, but I'd have often have the thought of, I don't want to go into the worm bins until I can like really go through them. And maybe that's something that I should do less, that I should, maybe I'll feed more consistently if I'm like, hey, we're just going to go in and just give them some food. But anyways, that's just some thoughts. So I peeked in here. I'd fed bins 1 and 3 and on the 23rd. And I having fed them with the time that I had and the battery power that I had, which seems to be a pretty regular thing, which actually, come to think of it, I didn't check my battery before I came down here. That's how it happens, folks. Anyways, I was just listening to Pescatarian Gardener's Live, and she was talking about gardening goals. Go check her out. She is a great person, great gardener, and a great channel. And she's got some really good goals for the future. So check out the Pescatarian Gardener on YouTube. So I peeked in here. Oh, that was all. I said all that because I'm like, oh, that's right. I was watching YouTube on my phone, so that's going to compromise the battery. Who knows? We'll see. Anyways, when I peeked in here, because I had given my worms pumpkins from the garden, unripe, small pumpkins, and I found that bin 3, which is the weakest population of the 4. It's one of 2 that had experienced a die-off earlier this year and is making a comeback, but this bin is still stronger. So in order of strength, 1 and 2 are pretty close to each other. Then it would be 4, and then in terms of population strength is what I'm saying, then number 3 would be the lowest. But their pumpkin, which was smaller, was gone, completely gone. Whereas when I came in here 16 days ago, there was still, well, by the time you see this, I'll have posted that video. It's only 2 minutes and 52 seconds long. So if you missed it, go check it out. Actually, maybe I will post it here. Beep, beep, beep. I often wonder about posting cards, is what they call it inside YouTube Studio. You post a card, and it's when you see that little symbol pop up in the corner. It's a link, I believe. I've never actually clicked on it, so I always wonder if that's like really a good thing to do, because then someone will click out of the current video, and you really want, it'd be really nice if you could watch the whole video. But then again, if you would like to, if you're a nerd, well, and I say that with love, if you want to see that video first and then come back and see this video, then that would be a good way for you to do it, is for you to remember me being like, hey, if you want to see that. Anyways, okay, so there was most of the pumpkin was still here, and I was really confused. It really made me wonder, like, okay, maybe I didn't check the other bin well enough because I was in a hurry. Maybe there is still pumpkin in there. And I actually did go back and look, and there's not pumpkin in there. But there was pumpkin, and also below it was a couple of bananas, and it really stunk. And so prior to that feeding and visit, this material is really cold, by the way, it had been 2 weeks, the 9th of, oh, wow, interesting, the 9th of November as well. Wait. Yes. Yep. So, okay, and you see that I did add leaves in the last month or so, and the worms are, so they were working on that pumpkin. Yeah, see, interesting. Maybe it's a temperature thing. Maybe this pumpkin was more, it had experienced a freeze, but maybe maybe the other pumpkin was less ripe and this one was more mature than I even realized. Again, it was a bigger pumpkin as expected. Here are all the pumpkin seeds. Doesn't bother me. One reason I don't use castings when I first start seeds is because, say I have castings, I mean, these are pretty easy to see, but let's say I add castings to my seed starting mix, and let's say I'm planting a squash or a pumpkin. If I have castings with these seeds in there, or in the case of tomatoes, then I don't necessarily know that what comes up is what I planted. So I avoid using castings to avoid any, or yes, I avoid using my castings to avoid any confusion. Plus, when a seed first starts, it has everything it needs to get going. It's after, once it starts to grow its first set of true leaves, that you need to be feeding it, which I always take too long to feed them. But okay, so like I said, this stuff's really cold. They were fed that pumpkin a month ago, and it's gone except for a small piece of skin. It's kind of wet. I've got a swampy smell down there. But worms are down at the bottom. We don't see any of the bananas left either. There were 2 whole bananas. So the worms, which I would hope, the worms have worked through their bananas and their pumpkin. Here's this tomato skin. That's a tea bag. So it's good and wet, this material. I'm not concerned. It's quite wet. Doesn't bother me. I'm glad I'm stirring it up so that whatever anaerobic bacteria activity is going on that creates that smell, we can kind of interrupt that. But I know that the worms also enjoy the wetness. They're all down there. It is, you can see how wet it is. It's borderline standing water, but again, I'm not bothered by it. Now, as we continue to go through the bin, we'll see if I'm going to kind of push the top leaves down there a little bit more. We'll see if my feelings change on that. You know, if I discover a lot of bad smells. That was a really, oh, here's the pumpkin stem. That I did find in the other bin. Here's that piece of, if I discover a lot more bad smelling areas, then, well, what am I talking about? Okay, one thought at a time. If I discover a lot more bad smelling areas, then I might take action to mitigate the moisture, meaning I'll add dry material. Today I have shredded paper that is not dry because it's already sitting in a bucket of water, but I'll go tear up some paper if I need to. The reason that I started to get ahead of myself and cut myself off to, say, the next thought was, oh, well, I'm adding paper anyways for today's feeding. But I also just countered that by saying, oh yeah, the shredded paper is already wet. But again, if I have to add dry material, I'll go get dry material. Okay, so we saw that the feeding was kind of, yeah, it was more so in this corner, more this way. But we saw that the food is 99% gone if you include the stem and that little piece of pumpkin skin. But there were a lot of worms down there, so they aren't too bothered. They aren't bothered by the moisture at all. Otherwise, I would expect them not to be down there. Yeah, I'm smelling funny. Over where in the feeding area, the corner I was just in, it was more of a swampy smell. And this corner has a little bit more sulfur, a little more rotten egg smell to it. And they're both similar, but that smelled more like a pond. I wonder if it's because more leaves got knocked down after I checked on, in the 3-minute video, I'm looking at the pumpkin. So I think that smell, the smell difference could be that there was more leaves in that pocket. All right, lots of worms as usual. I'm gonna go ahead and push some of this top material again back down into the hole, and then put the old stuff. Let's look at it as we go. Yeah, lots of worms throughout. So this population is still looking really good despite the cooler temperatures. And it's really not bad for them to go through long periods without new food. I would venture that it's good for them, especially in situations with me where I like to overfeed. All right, let's check out this upper right corner. Worms under this piece of wood. Oh, there's a little baby worm. He's like not even moving. Oh, there he moved, because I moved him. Oh, and today I see that I have this bubble wrap that I cut to put it up. So today these guys are going to get bubble wrap. These are stems from, I think this was the edible chrysanthemum. Either way, they're stems from the garden. We also have amaranth. That one's a lot more broken down than bin number 2, which should also, I just fed 2 days ago, and you should be able to see that. Prior, I'm not gonna link that here, but you can check that out in my playlist or just go to my videos. This is hair. We expect to find in here for a while. Okay, it feels even swampier down there. I think I mentioned in a previous video that these bins probably aren't exactly level. So it's possible for more moisture, for it to kind of lean. But again, worms throughout. I got a little bit of a smell. I'm kind of always mildly congested, but I also have open bags of a Cruciferous Crunch collection. It's some, I was visiting a shelter. A friend of mine had some food to donate from their job, and I offered to help them take it down there. And as I said in my other video, but in case you didn't see it, these are nice size worms too. That we got there to discover that they were filling up a cart of spoiled and almost spoiled food to get rid of that a farmer picks up. And they said, you know, when we got to chatting with them, they said that I could take some, and I did. Oh, I think I do want to add bread to this bin. Okay, hold on. Okay, we'll use that to, well, see, that's the thing. I'm not bothered by this moisture. I mean, I am going to be adding moisture with wet paper, but then again, I'm also going to be adding some bread. So yeah, tons of worms. Tons of worms. I know we were using the leaves as a blanket, but we're going to have a bubble wrap blanket now going forward. And all the better to move the material into the bin, the natural material. Okay. Now our final corner. Yeah, we got all kinds of baby worms in here. Yeah, we got that squishy sound. And squishy sound and worms. So they aren't complaining. See, it's wet. It's definitely wet down there. Yeah. But it's not too wet. There isn't any standing water. There's moisture we can see. It's wet. It's not just moist, it's wet. But if I had holes on the bottom of my bin, you wouldn't see. There's not anything to drain. So I really don't even... It's not a problem. Okay. We're going to feed in this corner. The end corner. We're going to pile everybody up here. And maybe we'll snap a stem. Put that down there. We got a little bit of dry stuff over here. And I think we'll put that piece of pine. Okay. I said that we're going to start with moldy bread. Oh, sorry. I was not paying attention to the camera at all. Okay. This is actually garlic from last year's harvest that went bad. See, I had clearly stored it wrong. And I've been saying ever since then that, I need to add it to the worm bins. This is a mango from the food donation we picked up. I don't always take the stickers off until I find I dig them out later, because sometimes the food is funky and you're just like, no, I'm not going to pick at it. Okay. Now what we're going to do, I am going to feed them a big feeding. Hold on. I feel like they could use a nice dose of carbon. So we're going to add wet and dry carbon. Carbon sources, okay? So here we've got some wet shredded paper. And we've got some funky pears. Okay. Okay. I think I'm going to do some layering today. And here we have part of a grocery bag I just tore up. Okay. And now our Cruciferous crunch, which is kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, green cabbage, and red cabbage. Okay. And let's see, how many bags do we have? 1, 2. It smells really great. If you've ever dealt with rotting brassicas, then you know I am being sarcastic. These stink to the high heavens. Let me tell you. I am telling you. I don't want to give them this whole bag. Okay. Yucky, yucky, yucky. All right. But also wonderful for them. Then we're going to layer this again. Okay. All right. There we have it. So we filled up that whole corner. So I have just increased the overall volume of this bin quite a bit, and I don't have a problem with that. Especially going into winter. But yeah, no, never mind the but. Okay, well, look at all these worms. Yeah, we did kind of bury the leaves. And we've had a bit of a warm spell, sort of a warm up. I think I can go back out there and collect some more leaves. I believe there's more leaves to be had out there. And I think they want to come inside. Yeah, I'm okay with the leaves getting stirred in. All right, so this was bin number 4 on the 9th of December, 16 days after the last check-in, a month after the last feeding. And this is a nice, great, strong feeding. I think they should have no problem with it. In a week, I think there'll still be evidence of it. The garlic, that's gonna, take a while to, that'll sit around for a while. Well, it is already partially rotted. The brassica, like the kale and stuff, will be gone. Some of the cabbage might still be evident. The pears, I think it'll be a couple of weeks before it's all gone. But in 10 days, a week to 10 days, I will check back in. And bubble wrap. Oh, yay. Good way to repurpose a bubble mailer, right? But yeah, in a week to 10 days, we'll check back in and see if they can use any new food source. So I still will, hold on. We'll still put our paper bag blankets over this and see what doesn't come of using the bubble wrap. All right, so this is a wrap. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time and your interest. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you're a worm farmer, a gardener, if you want to be, have been, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Be safe, be well. Bye for now.